Storage.
Doesn't matter. Hello, everybody. How are you doing? I am joined by Eleanor Goldfield.
Hello.
I made sure to put it up front this time because I
Thank
know
you.
it was like a sentence later, and
No, it was like a paragraph
you were like,
later.
why am I not?
It was a paragraph.
Thanks for
Okay.
being here, everybody. We're going to be talking about the new bill that would subtract $100 billion from our Pentagon's budget, which is not really that much of their budget, honestly. We'll be talking about people interrupting New York City's mayor, as they well should. We'll be talking about China's peace plan they put out, and we've got revelations on an Israeli hacking team that have come out. We got a lot of stuff for you, and that's just the tip of the goddamn iceberg. Not yet. Can't believe you interrupted my.
Well, I noticed that you clicked on the Rockfin tab, but then you didn't hit go live, and yeah. I guess it was just because you were.
We are live on Rockfin, for those who are wondering. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Please make sure to hit share, click, and everything. By the way, I have been like doubly suppressed on Facebook over the past few weeks. For a while, there was a brief window where they were like, we'll let a few people see us stuff, and now it's like fucking nobody. So if you're on Facebook, especially share it.
Although I wonder if does that. I don't want to ask if that helps, just to
What do you mean?
Throw a wrench into things, but does it actually help? Like if somebody shares it? Because I know there have been posts in the past where I share it and no one sees that I shared it.
Yeah, I mean, if you are truly highly suppressed, then you can click share and they won't actually show it to your friends or family or enemies or whatever. So it might help. It's tough to know. I mean, I do think that if like millions of people go to my Facebook page and suddenly try and share something, I think they might overwhelm the algorithm or whatever.
That'd be cool.
So that would be cool.
So what you have to do is you send the Facebook link to everyone on your mailing list.
Yes,
and
that
then
would
they
do
just
it.
Go there.
That would do it. At that point, Facebook would their only remedy would be to lie and say only 5 people had seen it when it's like thousands. That would be their answer. I always wonder about that too. Are they're like, okay, well, we can't stop people from seeing it, so we'll just decrease the number that it appears have seen it so that it hurts its feelings. So that the number the it is refers to the number, hurts his feelings, mine.
Oh, I thought you said it hurts its feelings. Because wasn't that a Black Mirror episode? Because we only care about how many likes we get or something, which actually is very true at this point.
It wasn't just about only caring. I think it registered likes like on your lens of your eye. And if you didn't get enough likes with interactions, then you like couldn't get into your office. Like the building would shut you out. So like everyone's like overly friendly. Hello, Laura. How are you today? I mean, we have plenty of that under capitalism to begin with. People are like, hi, because you're kind of above me in the managerial system. What a great idea that is. So there's still some of that, but maybe not on the level of getting a thumbs up on your eyelid or your eye lens. All right. Someone here is saying they miss Act Out. Just so you know. Well, you should listen to her podcast on Project Censored. So
yes, there's actually a really great. First of all, thank you. That's super cool. I miss it too sometimes. But this is a total tangent. I will have a new mini documentary coming out soon, and then a little kind of addendum, I guess you'd call it, to Hard Road of Hope, the German version.
Oh, Hard Road of Hope addendum.
In Deutschland.
I like the word addendum because it sounds like a drum roll for the movie. Addendum dum dum.
It does.
Yes.
So there's that, and then there is Project Censored, and there's actually a new show.
Podcast is called Project Censored. To answer your question.
I'm very, very stoked about this. I'm stoked about all of them, but this one is really rad. It's with Max Rameau. He's a Haitian author and organizer, Haitian American author and organizer, and he talks about community control over policing, which is not community policing, and the importance of of not just reforming institutions, but of actually taking power and shifting the power structure. And then I also talk with Eliana Carlin, who's a political scientist in Peru, about what's going on there. So it's a really rad hour episode. So put that on and enjoy. It's at projectcensored.org.
All right, so jumping into the topics here, we've got, and I kind of like that I'm actually referencing Forbes for this. I was going to reference, and I actually will reference other better indie outlets, but even Forbes is endorsing this. I think this is the ruling elite, like, realizing that they're like getting too.
It's not only Forbes. Oh,
They're getting too.
he's a defense analyst.
Whatever that means.
Well, it means that his specialty
Economics
is
of Pentagon
defense.
spending.
So then, like, his whole world is giving a shit about, you know,
The Pentagon.
well,
Yeah.
and like the bottom lines of Lockheed Martin and shit. So if anybody,
Well,
should
right,
think,
but here's the thing, though. He covers economics of the Pentagon, which, if you're covering economics of the Pentagon, you would assume you probably want to know where their money's going, and no one can figure that out.
does he mention the audit in this?
Not that I know of, no.
Well, then he's useless.
Yeah, no, he's a Forbes writer. I mean, who do you think they fucking hire?
Right, but that's my point. Then he doesn't care. He actually does care more about Lockheed Martin's bottom line.
Quite possibly.
Surprising.
Quite possibly. I'm not denying that, for fuck's sake. So there's a new bill that Barbara Lee brought forward, and she's not great on everything, which no person in Congress is, but she is one of the few that has voted regularly against war and has sometimes voted alone against war. Anyway, Representatives Barbara Lee and Mark Pocan introduced their People Over Pentagon Act, which would cut the Pentagon's bloated budget by $100 billion per year. The bill injects a much-needed note of sanity into the surreal Washington debate over how much is enough to defend the United States and its allies. Surreal because it is fucking astronomical. I mean, even if I were to be a little negative here, just $100 billion out of a $900 billion budget, which does not count the black budgets for like CIA and shit. So really, you're talking 1 point something trillion. To $100 billion is nothing out of that. Now, I also understand that the odds of getting anything through Congress that decrease the Pentagon budget by anything is incredibly slim. So I get that they're kind of going for something that could be done.
They're trying to, I guess it's a matter of like interjecting and trying to change the conversation, or just offer up a conversation like, hey, has anybody noticed that we spend this much money on the fucking Pentagon? And okay, I mean, I think this is one of the limitations of what you can do inside of Congress. It's why I don't buy the whole, oh, you need more people in no, fucking, because you're always going to be outnumbered by the douche canoes who want to spend $1 trillion plus on war. And so the best that these folks can do is really what is it? What's the word I'm looking for?
Decrease?
No, the best that these people can do is bring up a bill like this and, offer it up and be like, hey, this is just something that we were thinking about, and then everyone else shits on it. But then there are a few people that are like, yeah, that is fucked up. So
yeah. It is a step in the right direction, but the Pentagon budget, like, talking about this, it's never enough how much I can talk about it, like, and it never actually gets through to the human brain how much the Pentagon budget is. It is, like I said, 1 point something billion if you count the black budget. They've never passed an audit. They started doing audits 5 or 6 years ago, and they have failed every fucking one. And their last one, they said they can't account for half of their assets in Afghanistan. In the war of Afghanistan, millions of dollars would just be handed out, and they didn't even know where or why.
There were pallets of cash that went missing in Iraq.
Pallets of billions of dollars of pallets of cash went just missing like that in Iraq. Shrink wrapped cash. I mean, it is
like it was out of Scarface film or some shit. Like legit pallets of cash.
written by Oliver Stone, which is why there might be a connection there. But
he predetermined it.
Yeah, predetermined what the Pentagon was doing. Maybe that's how he wrote Scarface. He was like, how would the Pentagon behave if it were one dude, or one individual? It is just unbelievable. They did. And we dump all this money into a massive killing machine. Also, the world's largest cause of climate change, if you're talking an organization, a single organization.
Equal to 140 countries. The U.S. military's greenhouse gas emissions are equal to 140 countries.
That's funny because their budget is equal to the 144 bottom countries.
Oh, really?
So,
oh my gosh, that symmetry is so lovely.
Isn't it beautiful symmetry? 144 countries equates to the U.S. military budget. Anyway, to read a little more from this article real quick. Spending on the Pentagon, work on nuclear warheads at the Department of Energy, and emergency military aid to Ukraine will total a cost of $894 billion this fiscal year, a figure far higher than peak spending during the Korean or Vietnam Wars,
of course,
or at the height of the Cold War. It's hard to process what this enormous sum means in practical terms. And he gives a few examples. The current military budget is more than 20 times as much as will be invested annually in measures to address climate change under the Inflation Reduction Act, which was a pathetic, nothing of in terms of climate change, nothing of a bill. But this is 20 times as much.
Might as well just passed out a reusable straw to everyone.
Well, and furthermore, what do they consider spending on climate change is feeding money to corporations that build windmills or make electric cars. Spending on just one weapons program, the F-35, is comparable to the entire budget of the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, a crucial agency for decreasing spread of infectious diseases.
I can't believe we're still doing the F-30. I remember covering this 20 years ago. 20 years ago, we were talking about the F-35 and how fakakted it, and we're still having this conversation.
Yep, still going. And it used to, I don't know if it's caught on fire recently, but it used to just catch on fire on the runway. That was the $1 trillion.
Would, peel off of it as it was taking off, wouldn't it? Things would just fly off like it was a fucking IKEA. That was bed or something.
But little Allen wrenches are flying and just fucking pieces of things. There's just, what was that? A swivel chair. I don't. But also they came up with this $10 million helmet. I'm making up the number, but it was millions of dollars for each helmet. It was so advanced. And when they first would get pilots in it, it was a fucking catastrophe because they couldn't when things are blinking all through your eyes, you aren't good. You're still human. You're ugh! And so it was just we've got the most advanced $10 million helmet ever. And in the simulator, the pilot's just
and you're supposed to be going Mach whatever speeds with the fucking disco in your face. Yeah, that's Jesus Christ.
Let's see here. And a few years ago in 2020, just one company, Lockheed Martin, received $75 billion from the Pentagon in 1 year, a sum higher than the entire budgets of the State Department and Agency for International Development combined.
Wait,
Lockheed Martin got more money in 1 year from the Pentagon.
Is that what that is?
Agency for International Development now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, USAID. Oh, I don't. Yeah, I guess it might be.
Isn't it?
God damn it. Yeah, you're correct.
Thank you.
USAID is
I've just never seen it.
Essentially, well, they left off the US, which.
I've never actually seen anybody a journalist spell it out like that.
Yeah,
I always just see the acronym.
I think part of the reason you usually see them spell it out in mainstream media because people who know USAID as a CIA cutout call it USAID. And so if you spell it out, people don't get stuck on it. They don't go, oh, CIA cutout.
And it also sounds nicer. International development.
I know. Doesn't it sound lovely?
Anyway.
We develop coups and assassinations.
Basically, his point is this single corporation got more money in 1 year than these two really fucking corrupt and horrifying state funded agencies. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
bummer, I guess, but that's not where I'd put the money if it were up to me.
So, long story short, I support this bill, but it is a band-aid in terms of what the fuck our Pentagon and our military is. We have 800 military bases around the world. China has 1 outside of China. Russia has roughly 20, most of them in former Soviet bloc countries. And the US has 800. So, if that means anything to anyone.
I'm not sure
yeah,
what's going on.
I still support it. But also, do you think, let me ask you this, do you think it will get through Congress?
I feel like to circle back to a former comment by Eleanor Goldfield earlier in this episode, this is theatrics, and I'm not trying to shit on Barbara Lee or her colleague who she worked with on this. I believe that they are making a good point, and that they, I hope, actually believe in the concepts and the tenets of this bill that they're putting forward. But they have as much chance of this getting passed as I have a chance of becoming Speaker of the House.
So it's a good. You're saying which I would agree with. It's a good faith effort, but no,
it's the only thing.
Not.
It's the only thing that they can do as members of Congress who give a shit about this to actually, I mean, they can tweet about things, but like, again, our system is not built to, first of all, let people like this into office, really. So it's kind of an accident that these people are in office, the ones that actually give a shit about something like this.
It's pretty rare.
But then once they're in there, they have no power they can't start an anti-war committee. Like, they can't, there's no outlet for them other than proposing bills like this that will die before they even get a hearing. And so yeah, I mean, Barbara Lee, thank you for giving a flying fuck about the Pentagon budget. But like, I mean,
yeah, because our Congress does not pass anything that does not align with corporate America, and decreasing the Pentagon budget does not align with corporate America. And this is coming from Steven Simler,
who you can find all of his work over at radindiemedia.com.
That's radindiemedia.com, a site we created where you can find all your news, and it makes zero money. So, if anyone's wondering,
zero money, just to highlight that.
Well, I like that. I like that because people are like, oh, promoting his fucking moneymaker, radindiemedia.com. Yeah.
I mean, I did start putting up ads for socks when you weren't
looking.
Did
you?
But they're super cozy.
Okay. As long as there's a couple of sock ads. Other than
they're
that,
made from the hair of refugee children.
Oh, well, it's better than the skin.
Well, we have lampshades for that.
Oh, there also might be ads for lampshades. Sorry. Side note. So this is a little bit similar. Usually it does great charts. I mean, this one's still interesting, but this is slightly confusing because it's titled Trump Biden Pentagon spending spree. You kind of initially think that the entire chart is the Trump Biden spending spree, but
say that 10 times fast.
But in fact, the bottom here, it says it goes back to 1975 and it gets up to modern day on the right side. So Trump Biden is only the gray area. But still, if you look at where it started, the beginning of the Trump Biden era, and look at where it is now, it's almost like a hockey stick straight up. Like if this chart were only that section, it'd be straight up. It's insane amount of money. By the way, if anyone needs to be reminded of this, if you were to make $40,000 a year after taxes, in order to make $1 trillion, you would need to work for 25 million years. That's million with an M, and never spend $1.
I'm so impressed that you remember that. because I always think like, oh, what the fuck were the numbers? Like, but you'd have to, if you made $10. Wait, no, if you made, you'd have to
No, even though
$25. I can't.
If-
How do you keep those fucking numbers straight?
even though I've written articles about that with that analysis in it many times, and I've referenced it many times, I've had to relook it up probably 20 times because I always think like it can't be 25 million years. I'm like, maybe it was 5 million years. I always have to like re-look up the number, redo the calculation.
It was 40,000 a year.
40,000 a year
Okay.
to make $1 trillion. You'd have to work for 25 million years. So I think we should get started soon because you don't want to wait on that. So Steven Simler also analyzes how many jobs it would create to shift this $100 billion, which I think is what the bill says, is shifting the $100 billion from the Pentagon over to things like green energy. And it would create 290,000 extra jobs to do that. Now, I, of course, don't want people in slave labor. I also don't think that like the money is, we print whatever money we want. So if we wanted to give these people jobs, we give them the jobs anyway, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So there's a lot of caveats, but I also understand that speaking like this is how politicians speak to Americans. They say it will bring this many jobs. And so I understand why this is useful.
Well, right. And I think there's also a point to be made that that having a job that actually goes to some kind of public good, whether that be clean energy or, I don't know, fixing the gazillion fucking bridges that are falling down in this country. It's not actually a gazillion, it's like 40,000.
It's actually a gazillion and 12 now. It's gone up.
But yeah, so I think there's something to be said about having those jobs as opposed to jobs that are geared towards killing and bombing children and, you know, working in torture farms, all of that shit. Like, there is something to be said that in the current system where we still need jobs to survive, there is something to be said for pushing for those jobs to be as non-horrific and oppressive as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if we're going to be in wage slave jobs, I'd rather it be positive for the environment and the world than wage slave jobs for killing innocent people, which is what we love doing. And by the way, if you are an innocent person in one of these other countries that we like to kill, we will not be calling you an innocent civilian. No. We will be calling you an insurgent. We'll be calling you a rebel.
And how do we know? Because you were in the
target area
where there were insurgents and rebels known to be hiding. And how do we know that there were insurgents in that area? Because we yes. Punchline.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, ruined it.
I had to get you back for last week where you took like 7 of my punchlines.
Okay, I took 1.
No, it was like 5.
I took 1 and you just got really upset about that
I didn't say anything till the 5th one.
No, you just got really upset about that one, and I understand, but you cannot hyperbolize.
Wow. I don't know. Somehow balls were involved in that. I don't know what happened.
You cannot go on without me.
Go on without you. All right. I want to play a video of people protesting, standing up, yelling at Mayor. I want to call him Mayor McCheese. No, Mayor Adams in New York City. Now, Mayor Adams is a
former
ex-cop. Yep. See?
Which is exactly
the punchline. You're quite good at it.
That wasn't a punchline, though. That was a descriptor.
It counts as a punchline.
No, it doesn't. Sorry, go ahead.
So Katie's giving you credit for punchline vengeance. Oh, maybe she's giving me credit for punchline vengeance, but you just got vengeance on your vengeance. So, but yes, so Mayor Adams was interrupted. And I like playing these clips for multiple reasons. One being that it is people confronting the politician with the reality, with the truth, with the real world as they sit there and speak all this fucking bullshit that sprays out of their goddamn face holes like a fire hydrant. I love that. But and these things often go viral, which means more people see them, which means more people learn. But I also think that it's important for the ruling class to not always just be protected from the reality. Like it's
from their constituents.
it's like people should be telling them how fucked up things are. So I want to play this clip. I also want to say before I even play this that I was also going to play a clip of people confronting Hakeem Jeffries, the new leader of the Democrats in the House, that I have done a video on how he's funded by the worst of the worst as well as the Republicans. He's funded by big oil and real estate, giant landlords, and 3 of his top 5 are Israel lobbies and lobbying firms and etc. But I was going to play that clip as well. However, now when I click on it, it says that clip has been removed from Twitter. So
Thanks, Elon Musk, for all your free speech.
Maybe someone still has it out there and they can put it in the chat or something, but I don't have current access to that video. All right, this is people confronting Mayor Adams in New York.
Why you made the decision to cut money from school? Is that why you made the decision to cut money from mental health? Is that why you made the decision to have children out of shelter into school? You sit there and you are lying to them. You have no respect for the people of New York. You are not helping our children. You're taking money out of school. You're taking money out of school. You're cutting money from mental health. How can you sit there and say the things you are saying? God, our children are suffering. They're in a peace. They're in a peace. They have justice. They can't be no peace. They have no justice. They can't be no peace. Our children are suffering.
Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Democrats have got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Democrats have got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Democrats have got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Why are you cutting CUNY, Mayor Adams? Why do you have to cut CUNY by over $100 million? You say you want to reduce crime, but you're cutting CUNY. Step out. Please step out. Please step out. Don't cut CUNY.
Go ahead, you go.
Well, I just wanted to see where they were because I saw the banner that said that they were at the Sheen Center. So I just decided that I was going to look at what that is. It's on Bleecker Street in New York, which is a pretty famous street for arts and culture. And of course, this woman who stands up and starts this calling out of the mayor points out that he has cut budgets for education, and of course, arts are big, the first to go when you cut education. But the Sheen Center, they say that their mission is it's a haven for the arts and provides a platform for provocative conversations about diverse and inclusive aspects of humanity. What the fuck? Then how dare you have someone like Mayor Adams at your fucking center? It's absolutely despicable. And I love also like how many people in this crowd are only there.
I know, it's like
to fucking like
it's like half
call
of
him
them
out. It is wonderful. I bet he got there and he was like, wow, what a great crowd. And like half of them ended up being there just to like shit on his whole
right.
event. That's great. I love that.
I love how many people it was. And he is, I haven't followed that much about Mayor Adams. I know he's an ex-cop, but he's also, I did a segment on him and that apartment fire a while back on Mayor Adams. And he is heavily funded by real estate firms and like landlords. And so he ran to this fire that was caused partially by the landlords neglecting their job to deal with fire alarms, maintenance, and doors that are supposed to automatically close, like fire doors. Multiple things were wrong with this apartment building. And then it catches on fire and kills, I don't remember how many. And he gives a speech about how the problem is that the tenants didn't shut the door. And he was defending basically his biggest donors.
Victim blaming.
He was victim blaming for his biggest donors. And so that just tells you right there, that guy's a piece of shit. So
yeah, and
but he loves the cops.
Yeah, well, he is one. I agree with you that I think that these actions are very important because it makes them the more you do it, the more uncomfortable they feel, and the more the more out in the open and vulnerable they begin to feel in terms of their place in power. So I think these actions are super, super important. Can I make a very big tangent just for a second?
A tangent? No, but a tangent, yes.
I would have that. And you know what? I'm really tired. And so, okay. I saw before the video started, somebody in the chat wrote Eleanor, Moscato, or Riesling. And I feel like I have to answer this just because, look, I said it was a tangent, goddammit. I feel like I have to answer this because Moscato is the most disgusting shit ever.
If you're going to keep us on track, do not write anything about wine, or Eleanor will be gone for the
Look,
next half
all
hour.
I'm saying is Moscato is fucking disgusting.
I don't even know what that is. What is
It's a sweet wine.
Oh, okay.
It's like a dessert wine,
Okay.
but which is dumb. Don't make sweet wine. You're ruining the grapes. Riesling, I will take if it is not sweet. If it's a dry Riesling, I'm all over that shit. I love it, especially when it's got that little bit of like spritz, the little bubbles. It's lovely.
All right.
Okay.
I'm cutting
okay.
this off. This
Yes.
is done.
Well, I told you it was a tangent, but okay.
For those, you could start a separate live stream called Eleanor's Wine Club.
I should.
Listen, folks, you can email and if you want her to start Eleanor's Wine Club.
Look, I think that wine is something that has long been enjoyed by the people. And so it's just this propagandization that makes it sound like it's a snobby thing, but it's really not.
I'm not anti-wine.
Jesus fucking drank it. He made it. Okay?
Wasn't it like he could piss wine or something? What was the magic trick he could do? I can't remember.
That'd be a whole different golden shower type situation.
All right.
A much better one.
I'm cutting this off a second time.
Well, you started it.
So I want to get into, do you want to do China's peace plan first or the Israeli hacking firm?
Do you want the good news or the bad news first?
Yeah, I mean, we'll give the bad news with the China peace plan too.
Well, yeah, I mean, they'll never accept it, but
yeah.
I mean, it's a very nice graphic they made.
All right, let's go with China's peace plan for Ukraine. And I just wanted to show this because I wanted to show that China is like putting out ideas that would benefit humanity to do them, whereas the US is just like, we can ship more missiles to other countries to bomb children. And it's like, it feels very, even if you have criticism of the Chinese government, which you're more than welcome to have, it seems very different. These seems like polar opposite kind of, we're going to put out one that is about creating peace. And the other side of the US empire saying, we're going to put out a plan that is about killing those folks we don't like. Feels different to me.
It's different.
It's different. Am I wrong? All right. So here is, and yes, this is coming from Global Times, which is a Chinese government or government subsidized outlet. But this is their peace plan, and you can decide whether you disagree with it for Ukraine. Just decide whether you disagree with many of these tenets. Respecting the sovereignty of all countries. Where do you stand on that, Eleanor? Are you pro or against?
Speaking as Uncle Sam for a second.
I mean, the U.S. does that, right? We respect the sovereignty of all countries. We let them do their own thing.
I feel like as soon as anyone from the U.S. government reads this, they're going to get stuck on number one and never go further.
Well, and get furious and rip it up and eat it. Oh, thank you. Someone has found the clip of Hakeem Jeffries being. Oh, never mind. There, someone has put up the clip of me breaking down Hakeem Jeffries funding. So that is different. But thank you. Anyway, yeah, the U.S. doesn't respect the sovereignty of nations at all, and the U.S. doesn't even. Here's the thing: the U.S. If you'll notice what we keep saying that countries need to respect the accepted global order, the rule of law, these rules-based order. Like they use that terminology. They don't actually say what the rules are, because the rules would be things like sovereignty of countries, which the U.S. doesn't respect at fucking all. Like we just go in and economically or sometimes physically go into countries and destroy them, and we have no interest in their sovereignty.
No.
Thank you, Hype
Sorry,
Man.
that. Yeah.
I'll take that. I'll put a little check. Eleanor agrees on my paper
Well,
over
you
here.
did-
I'm playing Eleanor agrees bingo over
You
here. So
did such a great job. There wasn't anything for me to add. Okay, I guess I could have just said, instead of that, I could have been like, fuck yeah, man. So there you go.
I know you can start. Actually, as I'm doing the rant, I'll do the rant again. Okay, I'm going to start over. And as I'm doing it, you just quietly in the background name each country, which is Haiti, Syria,
Venezuela,
Iraq,
Cuba.
Venezuela, Cuba, Libya, Iran, Ukraine. Just keep fucking going through them. Although then I'll have to elongate my rant. It'll have to be like 45 minutes long.
Yeah, there's a hell of a list.
All right. Number 2, abandoning Cold War mentality. Like not creating a new Cold War with China and Russia. Where do people stand on that? Pro or against? Ceasing hostilities.
And does this mean ceasing hostilities like all of the places or just Ukraine? I mean, both is kind of a non-starter here, but I'm wondering
Well,
if China's
even though it's
okay,
called,
so that's okay.
Well, no, here it's called China's position on Ukraine crisis. However, clearly this is more than just Ukraine, because they say respecting the sovereignty of all countries. So this is a global view of how nations should behave. Ceasing hostilities, resuming peace talks. Oh my God, how dare they? How fucking dare they say there should be peace talks? Resolving the humanitarian crisis.
Yeah, that one's tricky because the U.S. says that it does that all the time.
Well, we've sent a lot of aid to Ukraine, and I'm a little confused. Are the children and the refugees, are they not eating the missiles we've been sending? Because we've sent a bunch of missiles.
I don't think we sent enough hot sauce.
There's not enough hot sauce for the missiles. It's true. It's very true. Keeping nuclear power plants safe. I think that could be a good thing. Could be a positive.
Yeah, although there's an argument to be made that you can't actually keep nuclear power plants safe,
right?
Because it's not like there was a war when Chernobyl happened, or Fukushima, or the 3 Mile Island. Like, these things just happen because that's what nuclear power plants do, and the U.S. currently has 25 reactors that are the exact same model as the one at Fukushima, that are just waiting to fucking go bad, and we don't need an invasion for that to happen. They can just fall apart on their own.
Dude, folks should watch the 3 Mile. I really didn't know much about 3 Mile Island, but the 3 Mile Island documentary documentary series on Netflix. So 3 Mile Island was a disaster, but it didn't cause that much. It probably caused cancer.
Chernobyl.
It wasn't Chernobyl level. It probably caused cancer in the people in that town, and some of the people in that town. But they were like minutes or inches or however you measure it away from like a nuclear fallout that would have made the East Coast unlivable.
Yeah.
Like, if it weren't for, there was one whistleblower who came forward, and when he came forward and said, look, they're getting ready to do this. If it goes wrong, it could cause a nuclear fallout that clears New York to Washington, D.C. And that's what stopped them from doing it. And they spent another year creating the safety measures to what they ultimately did. If that guy hadn't come forward, it's like insanity.
I know. Highlights the importance of whistleblowers as well.
Jesus. reducing strategic risks, facilitating grain exports. Grain is obviously a big product of Ukraine. Stopping unilateral sanctions. Now, this is another big one, which China is saying the U.S. would never say because we do loads of unilateral sanctions. We are by, I don't even know if another country has more than like a handful of unilateral sanctions, whereas the U.S. has like hundreds. Like, we just sanction the fuck out of countries because we want to destroy them economically.
Yeah. We're hoping that the people will become so desperate from starving and dying of curable diseases that they'll overthrow their government, and then we can install one. But that doesn't typically happen.
Which is just it's a real up with humanity kind of vibe, you know, like we'll kill it. We'll cause, so if we cause most of the population to die from starvation, they'll probably rebel, right? Right? Let's see what else they got. A couple more. Keeping industrial and supply chains stable and promoting post-conflict reconstruction.
Yeah. And I assume by that last one, they don't mean selling Ukraine piecemeal on the Wall Street market?
Yeah, which Zelensky literally rang the opening bell on Wall Street. And like they gave a video of him and he basically said Ukraine is open for dissection.
Yeah.
And sales.
Open for dissection.
Open for dissection. For vivisection. But what's interesting about that list is, and I know some people could be like, oh, China fucking sucks and they don't mean those things. The U.S., there's multiple points on that list that the U.S. would never even say. The U.S. government would never even say. Like, rarely nowadays do they say countries should have their own sovereignty. They would never say that we need to get rid of unilateral sanctions, ever.
Because the U.S. is the only country who does unilateral sanctions.
The U.S. has not said we need a peace. We need to sit down at the peace table in Ukraine because they stopped peace agreements back in April in Ukraine. Anyway, so important to know that's coming from one of the most powerful nations in the world. All right, let's move on to, and by the way, in a few minutes, we will be going to justrumble.com/Lee Camp. It's free to head over there and keep watching. But we're going to move on to another story here about an Israeli hacking firm that has done what we were told Russia was doing through all of Russiagate. Throughout Russiagate, we were told, oh my God, Russia has these bot armies. They're able to control everything. They're making people vote for Trump, all this shit. And we have now seen that fall apart over many years. I mean, I was tearing it apart from day one, but we've now just in the past few weeks, we saw that from the Twitter files that internally at Twitter, they were like, yeah, there's no bot army at all. Should we call this publicly bullshit or what do we do here? Because if we call it bullshit, then we're coming out against factions in the US government who are saying there's a Russian bot army. So that might be bad for us in Congress. So they never did reveal that it was bullshit, but internally they were discussing it. Anyway, so that's what we were told Russia was doing. They weren't. But here's what Israel was really doing. Would you like to lead?
No, you go ahead.
So, yeah, a big investigation has revealed the hacking and disinformation team in Israel has been meddling in elections and successfully meddling in elections. A team of Israeli contractors who claim to have manipulated more than 30 elections around the world using hacking, sabotage, and automated disinformation on social media has been exposed in a new investigation. The unit is run by Tal Hanan, a 50-year-old former Israeli Special Forces operative who now works privately using the pseudonym Jorge.
Why?
Yeah, that's problematic. And appears...
I mean, it's problematic, but it's also stupid. It sounds like he got it off of watching like the Netflix show about what the fucking drug guy...
Narcos?
Yeah, like he was at home watching Narcos and he was like, I will be Jorge. Like, what the fuck, man?
You know who else it's like is when Anthony Weiner's secret name was Carlos Danger.
Shut up, it was not.
Yeah. And that was after the initial dick pics.
Because first of all, his real name was enough of a joke.
After the initial dick pics, he got back into sending sexts or sex chats to like women and under the name Carlos Danger. And Jon Stewart was like, I have tons of criticism of Jon Stewart. By the way, he's now giving gold medals to Nazis at Disney World. That's
Yeah,
not
that.
a joke. We've covered that. But so it's not like I love everything Jon Stewart does, but Jon Stewart during that time had been, I think, roommates with Anthony Weiner at William and Mary, or at least friends with. Maybe I can't remember whether it was roommates or not. But and even Jon Stewart was like tearing this apart. Like, really, dude? Really? You've been caught for sending dick pics, and now Carlos Danger sexting online. Like, anyway.
Okay, sorry, that was a bit of a tangent. I just found
Bit
that
of a tangent.
really
Bit of a tangent.
like a window into how like juvenile and lame this guy is. Anyway, carry on.
Jorge and appears to have been working under the radar in elections in various countries for more than 2 decades. Hanan and his unit, which uses the codename Team Jorge, all right, we're getting better, have been exposed by undercover footage and documents leaked to The Guardian. Hanan did not respond to questions and said, I deny any wrongdoing.
Well, that's surprising. So yeah, and there was apparently they were able to get a undercover footage of him doing an initial pitch to potential clients, and he says, quote, we're currently involved in an election in Africa. We have a team in Greece and a team in the Emirates. We have completed 33 presidential level campaigns, 27 of which were successful, end quote. He said he was involved in 2, quote, major projects in the US, but claimed not to engage directly in US politics. Whatever that means. I don't know how you can do both of those things at the same time. Be involved, but not be involved.
I had campaigns in U.S. politics, but I wasn't involved in U.S. politics, all right, if you know what I'm saying.
I mean, so he was actually...
Don't forget it was a team. It's Team Jorge.
Sorry, Team
Not
Jorge.
just him.
Wouldn't that be Equipaje Jorge? Equipaje Jorge?
Wait,
Sorry.
I think you just said luggage. I think you just said luggage Jorge.
What a team!
I don't know. We better get to the bottom of this. Who speaks Spanish out there?
All right.
This is going to take her a while to look up because she's laughing so hard that the fingers aren't working as such. Yep, I got it right. I'm the one who does not speak Spanish.
I never said I spoke Spanish.
She just said like luggage Jorge.
Equipo. See, I wasn't that far off. Equipo.
All right, here, finally someone helped us out.
Look, okay, A, I never claimed to speak Spanish. And 2, I wasn't that far off.
Luggage Jorge. Hey, listen, can you imagine the phone calls? He's like, listen, you're talking to luggage Jorge here. They're like, what is wrong with this guy?
Okay. You know what? All right. Okay, so any Spanish that I did have was a little rusty, I admit. Okay, I need to work on that.
People are requesting English only going forward.
I understand. I understand. So anyway. Okay. So Lee has actually talked quite a bit about Cambridge Analytica in the past, but it turns out that they're linked because emails, it says here, emails
Should I give a background?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Just real quick, Cambridge Analytica is a British company with, you go over there and laugh for a second. British company with, but they have an American entity, or they've gone bankrupt, by the way, since then. But Cambridge Analytica was found to have influenced many elections. And for a while, they were bragging about it. Pre-Trump, And by the way, Steve Bannon was on the board or advisor or something for Cambridge Analytica. But pre-Trump, Cambridge Analytica did fucking TED Talks talking about how they had influenced 40 elections around the world. And like it wasn't untoward or illegal. They were just like, we've just got this great data resources. And it turned out they were stealing everyone's data from Facebook, and they ultimately got sued. Facebook also for allowing there to be a loophole that got Cambridge Analytica all that information has been forced to pay a fine of hundreds of millions or whatever it was. Probably nothing for them. But all of that goes on. Meanwhile, we're told Russia is manipulating our elections. No. And by the way, Cambridge Analytica, they had some influence on Brexit, but it seems unlikely they had any influence on U.S. elections. But they had influence on elections around the world. Anyway.
Right. So that's Cambridge Analytica. And it turns out that these two are linked because back in 2015, he asked for $160,000 from Cambridge Analytica for the involvement in an 8-week campaign in a Latin American country. It also turns out that the two worked alongside one another in 2015 in the Nigerian presidential race. So these two are linked, and yet I can't find anywhere anybody blaming Israel or England for fucking up elections. And this is now like very, very well documented. I mean, there's this is from The Guardian, by the way. And there's footage, there's leaked emails. So there's all this information that proves that this guy was doing what he was claiming to do. And yet there's no and if we are going to talk about Israeli interference in U.S. elections, I mean, we could just mention AIPAC. We don't even have to mention this fucking douche canoe over here.
Dude, AIPAC. By the way, folks, we're going over to, sorry to interrupt, we're going over to rumble.com/leaguecamp, completely free over there. Join us over there. Click follow at rumble.com/leaguecamp. If you're watching there, nothing changes. Okay, what I was going to say is AIPAC, like, they have so many different ways to influence elections. They threaten to remove